Good morning. We're grateful to gather online together this morning as the Unitarian Universalist Society for a time of inspiration and connection. I'm Peggy Garrigus, Director of Congregational and Community Engagement, and I'm also your Zoom host for this morning. If you're visiting our service today, welcome. We hope you find this morning's Spirited Sunday program meaningful. I'll post a link in the chat to a visitor forum in just a moment if you would like to let us know that you are here this morning. As Unitarian Universalists, we don't all believe the same things, but we turn to 7 principles that guide us in living out our values and the world. One of those principles is acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. Today, Lori Enloe, one of our worship associates, will be leading us in a Spirited Sunday program rather than a more typical Sunday service. You're welcome to turn on your video if you wish to have it on during this Tai Chi program. I now turn things over to Lori.
Good morning, everyone. It's so nice to see you. As Peggy said, my name is Lori Enloe, and today I'm going to be assisted by Cassia Scott. She's going to be doing some Tai Chi Qigong seated. She's a good friend of mine and also another Tai Chi player, teacher in training. And I welcome you to the Spirit of our society's Sunday service. And once a month, we're inviting you to join an all ages alternative service where we engage in a spiritual practice and meaningful play. And they're really designed so that you can participate in Sunday morning online or any other time during the week that works for you. And you can join in our playful practice with others from home or while out and about. What you might find after our practice this week is you might start to notice yourself, how am I playing with this in my daily life? Maybe you start to notice how you're standing, if you're breathing, or perhaps if you're feeling stressed, you might gently bring awareness to your feet and imagine you're a bear, strong and stable. Or sometimes you might want to feel more energized and fly like a crane. So as I said before, feel free to turn on your videos. And I'm not sure if Peggy mentioned, or she'll put a link in the chat. If you would rather go to a more traditional service, Peggy will put a link in where you can join that service. And so what?
Actually, sorry to interrupt. There was not a link for this week for a traditional service. So you can feel free to just go online to search for another UU service if you
okay.
Service this morning.
Thank you, Peggy. Oh, what just happened here? I'm not sure. Can people still see me? Peggy. I'm seeing another screen here. Okay, there we go. All right, I wasn't sure what was happening there. So what you can expect from today is it's going to be a combination of both movement and a few stories and rest. And as we start to move, or as we do move, I want you to keep in mind a few guidelines. So first of all, if you're going to choose to move, double check the space that you're in. If you are standing, I like to encourage you to have a chair next to you that doesn't have any wheels, just that you might need to touch if you need it for balance, if you're feeling unsteady. Make sure that your floor space is clear. And there's no trip hazards. I have a cat who's sleeping here on the couch right now, but sometimes when I do Tai Chi, comes and lays at my feet. So just be aware of your pets, be aware of your surroundings. And those of you who plan to stand again, if you don't have a chair, you can use a wall or some sturdy shelf. For those of you that are using walkers and would like to stand at times, make sure that your wheels are locked if you have that, and that you have a chair close by if you get tired. If you're right now going to play along with us seated, what I would encourage you to do, if you're in a comfortable recline and you're thinking, oh, I'm just going to lay back here and do a few things, it would work better if you could find a more sturdy chair so that you can have a better posture and not be a slouch. That would help you. And sometimes it's hard to do some movement when you're in a mushy chair. Or if you want to sit and stay in your recliner, you might just choose to do a few things with your arms. So clothing, what I typically say again, if you're in stocking feet and your floor is slippery, you might want to either take your socks off or put shoes on. If you have any issues with pain in your feet, again, if you wear orthotics, I would encourage you to have your shoes on or something with non-slip soles. Okay, focusing. One of the things about Tai Chi is really we're learning to do less. If we think about in life, we're really learning, we sometimes say, give us 100% or give 150%. When we were in school, or if you're in school right now, and you might say, okay, I need to get an A in this class. Well, in Tai Chi, we're going to say, no, we're just going to back off and we say, I'm going to get a C. I'm going to use less effort, so maybe 70% effort. And that's if we're feeling healthy, we use that 70% effort. If you have some issues with your tissues, maybe like pain or tightness, maybe you're going to do a little bit less. So maybe 50%. We're tuning in with our ears. We're putting on these big giant ears and listening to our body. So, and always remember to breathe. I want you to make it through this service, still breathing and having a little fun. So I'm going to have everybody buckle up. We're going to get ready for our flight here. And I'm just going to turn on my little calendar, or my candle. On my little candle, and we won't be able to see it, but I'm going to set it here. And as you're comfortable in your chair before you stand up, I'm just going to read a little quote from Lao Tzu from one of the chapters. So, simplicity, patience, compassion. These three are your greatest treasures. Simple in action and thoughts, you return to the source of being. Patient with both friends and enemies, you accord with the way things are. Compassionate toward yourself, you reconcile all beings in the world. So some of you might be wondering, what are Tai Chi and Qigong? I've never heard these terms before. And they really are, they're ancient mind-body practices rooted in Asian martial arts and Chinese medicine and philosophy. And they involve what I like to say is 8 active ingredients, and we'll be playing with those throughout. Don't feel like you have to remember them all. But if you think about when you take a medication, it usually has 1 active ingredient. And in Tai Chi, there's 8 of them, and they all work together. So it's like a superpower in the way that they help improve our health and well-being. And I'm just going to mention them here, and I'll be bringing them up throughout today. But one is awareness. So this mindful awareness, approaching things with kindness and curiosity. And this is in this idea of doing a little bit less, listening and being present. And our intention, what are we focused on today? Is there a distraction sitting out there? Like, did the phone ring or something else happen? So our intention to be in this moment, and also what we believe and what we expect we're going to get from this class, that's going to affect how you move. Breathing, a big part of our practice is breathing. We're going to start out just noticing. An active relaxation is learning how to use our muscles less, using less effort. And let's just play with that a little bit as you're seated before we stand up. What I want everybody to do, and again, listen to your body. If you have shoulder issues, don't raise your arms up as high. I'm going to stand up so you can see me. You can stay seated right now. If you have shoulder issues, just keep everything relaxed. You might only raise your arms up. So as you're seated right now, really stay seated. What I want you to do is feel your body in your chair and feel your breathing. Just notice it how it is right now. And now what I want you to do is pretend you're going to lift something heavy. And with whatever, so not hurting yourself. It's real important to listen to your body, but pretend you're going to lift something heavy. So you're going to maybe clench your fists, and you're going to lift, the arms are going to clench, maybe a little bit tension, and just lift it up to whatever's comfortable and lower it back down. And do that a couple of times, just so you're noticing. And then let the arms relax. Okay, let them go limp. So that is not active relaxation, that's a hint. So now imagine that you are a feather, that your arms are like feathers, and they're just gonna float, and allow them to float up and float down. And notice as you float your arms, how does this feel in your body? And only to a comfortable height. What's that like? And then just let that rest a minute and just kind of think what was different there. And maybe even put in the chat if you want to. Put in the chat what you noticed. You want to put in the chat what you noticed as a difference if you'd like to. So active relaxation is really about learning to use less effort. And then we have this big term called dynamic integration and how is the body working? So Tai Chi is really about bringing our awareness into our body and how we move. Sometimes I like to say Humpty Dumpty, you know, he fell on a wall and he had a great fall. And in Tai Chi, we're putting it all back together again. We're finding ourselves, we're finding our whole body and our mind body, not just the body mind. So we're integrating it all together. Then we're helping get stronger and more flexibility. And it's also community practice because usually we come together in the group. I'm just going to look at the chat for a minute. We come together and practice in a group. And so it's a community practice. And then it is also called an embodied spirituality. And it's about you're creating a ritual, you're creating a practice, and typically we like to do it every day. And so it really is a sense of practice and includes some philosophy. So what I'm reading in here, what people felt is some ease, soft, easy flow. That's what I'm seeing. And with that movement. No, I didn't get to the bottom. I lost the bottom here. Just a second. The feather was much more easeful, someone said. Okay. All right. So those are some of the awareness. And so we're really playing with slow, focused movements. And the idea and the purpose of the practice is really to strengthen, enhance the flow of energy in our body. And the word for energy is qi. And the QI Qi really is energy can be anything. So it can be this energy from the sun. It's the air that we breathe. It's the energy we get from food. If you think about energy we get from gasoline or from water, all of those things encompass energy. Okay, Lois said she was lifting engaged core muscles, okay, with that. So all of those things are energy. So the word Qi isn't really a woo-woo term. It's really about and it's also our emotions. It's all the different things that we're moving and being and doing in our lives, how the body is working. Information travels along the nerves. That's part of energy. In Tai Chi, that word Tai Chi, it means, if you've seen the yin and yang symbol, that's what Tai Chi is. It's the balancing of complementary opposites. And within our body, within the world, you think about the seasons. So that's all of those. And also, I just wanted to say that if some of you are thinking about if there's younger people in the room, or even those of us who are older, if we go back to the days of Kung Fu with David Carradine, or the Master of Chi Jet Li movies, maybe The Last Airbender, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and even Karate Kid. Some of these are some of the other martial arts. Tai Chi is a martial art. And as that, it really helps us learn and connect mind to body. Okay, so now you can either choose to stand or sit wherever you're at. And we're going to start a little bit of play. And in Tai Chi, we never work. It's all about play. And in the sound of music, you can remember the song Do, Re, Mi. Let's start at the very beginning. Here it is. Here's what I like to say today. Let's start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. When you sing, you begin with Do, Re, Mi. When we play Tai Chi, we begin with centering. So let's start on our little tour today, just like Miss Frizzle and the Magic School Bus. So gently, as you're standing, people who are standing, start to notice where your feet are on the ground. They're standing and you might notice, and so without changing anything, notice how you're standing. Are your feet turned out a little bit? Is the weight spread evenly on the bottom of your feet? We're going to notice without changing first. What's your normal posture? Are your knees locked or unlocked? So you're becoming a scientist. You're observing what's your habitual pattern. Do you stand out here on one hip with one knee locked? And are you looking down here at your cell phone, sort of listening to me? But start to notice, what's your posture like? What's your usual posture? And notice how that feels. Maybe take a deep breath in that posture. So we're starting to observe. And then come back up from wherever you are. And actually, I'm going to have Kassia sit in a nice slouch in the chair for me, Kassia. Yeah. Are you sitting in your recliner like this or lounged or whatever you're doing? So just notice what's your typical posture. So now I'm going to invite you to find your horse stance. So as I said before, we're starting playing with our centering. So finding your feet on the floor, and seated or standing, find your feet on the floor. And notice the weight distribution on your feet. Are you rocked back on your heels, out to the sides of your feet a little bit? But again, and then if you can, if it's comfortable, let your feet be parallel. Now, if it's uncomfortable, what's most important is you stay in that comfortable range, as I said at the beginning. Hold on to the chair as you need to. Mine's got a little, for people who are standing, so you've got your balance. And then we're going to go up from the feet. So up through the knees. If you're seated, your knees, if possible, are in front of the hips. And then standing, our knees are unlocked. And again, just like we were tensing our arms, I want everybody to lock your knees back, not to cause pain. If it's going to hurt you, don't do it. But other people can lock your knees, feel what that does to your body, and then unlock it. Okay, notice that. So in Tai Chi, we keep all of our joints unlocked because it allows the flow of energy. Now we're going to come up to our pelvis, and we're going to imagine people who are seated, you're going to have equal weight on the sit bones. You're going to find that and maybe rock back and forth a little bit from side to side to find that equal weight. And people who are standing, especially, those of us that can remember the little kids that were in the little Johnny jumpers, and they have the little harness around them. The little kids like do this, right? Yahoo! It's a lot of fun. I wish I had one of those in my doorway. Sure, I could think of some device. But anyway, I want you to release your hips a little bit just so they're soft. And this area of our body, our big microbiome is here. We know all about that from Dr. Terry Walls, who's a member. And in Tai Chi, this is the main energy center. So lots of things, good things happening here. So this is our lower half. We're like a tree sending roots deep down into the earth. If you're seated, you're sending roots even from your sit bones, okay? And then come up and notice, is your jaw relaxed? Are you clenching your teeth? Soften the neck. And imagine your head is like one of those bobbleheads. And you can picture your favorite bobblehead. And I don't know who it might be, if it's a moose or a bear or some politician, whatever it is. But just let it bobble and let it be soft, okay? And then unsqueeze around your eyes. And notice how you feel in this position. This is what we call our horse stance. Now you're thinking, this isn't a very big horse, Lori. It's not very big, right? We're not out here, okay? The young, big athletes can play with that. We're going to stick here and stay safe for our bodies. Now, as you're comfortable, I'll invite you, if you want, to place a hand on your chest and belly. We've just played with our posture. Now we're going to check in with our breathing, another big important part of Tai Chi. And we're bringing our awareness into our body with kindness and curiosity. No judgment. And now in mindful awareness, it's kindness, awareness here in the moment, and feeling your in-breath and your out-breath. You might notice a tendency for the eyes to close. And if you're feeling unsteady, please keep them open. And at all times, please listen to your body. If you feel tired, rest. And then let your hands come down. And I'm going to invite you, we're about 70% water. And we have this inner ocean. Okay, and as we're standing, I want you to become aware of the inner ocean. And we're first going to just start to swing our arms. As you feel your feet on the ground, feel your breath. Swing your arms. And you can imagine they're like ragdoll soft. If you had empty sleeves, it'd be like someone pushing an empty sleeve. And then let it release. And then let it swing again. The idea is this helps really loosen your shoulders. It stimulates lymph flow. It also perturbs your balance when you're standing. And let it stop. Letting everything loosen up. And just do that one more time. And again, take in, what do you feel in your body? As the arms swing, can you feel your feet on the floor? Are you breathing? Your jaw relaxed. Maybe bring a little smile to your face. So think of one of your favorite memories in the last 50 years, or 10 years if you're 10. Imagine what that is and just put yourself there. And then stop. And now, if you feel like you need to shift weight on your feet, do that. Always feel free to shift, check in. How does your body feel? Now we're going to start moving your ocean a little bit more. So softening the knees. And I want you to focus on our intention. Focus on the bottom of one foot. And it can be either one. Maybe let the knee bend a tiny bit and start to pour. Still breathing. And then focus on the other foot and pour over there. And as we're moving this inner ocean, start to feel the sensation. Now, if you're seated in the chair, just very lightly press on one side and go the other way, just so you can start to feel the transfer. So it's not very much movement seated. And especially if you have any back pain, hip pain, and you're seated, and if the pouring starts hurting the pelvis, please back off. Don't, you can use your imagination and do the same thing. Focus on the sensations. And feel again, now we're starting to feel up in our ankles. You're feeling one side get full and the other side empty. Feeling up into the shins and the calf muscles. Just letting this inner ocean pour, just letting go each time. Enjoying this gentle self-massage. Feeling up across the knees, into the thighs, the front of the legs and back of the legs. And as you're breathing, people who are standing especially, notice if you're gripping the floor. And again, if you're feeling unsteady, just lightly touch the chair. Feel up into the lower dantian, into the pelvis, pouring from one side to the other. And can you feel one side empty and the other side fill as you're noticing sensations? All the way up through the torso, and up all the way up into the neck and into the brain. So one side is full, one side is empty. Gently massaging your tissues. Check and make sure your jaw is relaxed. And feel. Now gently come and rest on one side. And when you're on that one side, just kind of look down. Is my knee lined up over the middle of my foot? Am I still in my little bouncy seat, or did I happen to lock my joints? Find that soft knee, soft hip, and notice what that feels like to have all your structure, all your strength on the one side, and the other side is just empty. It's like you poured everything out. Even your brain, you're like, oh, half my brain's empty. What an interesting, fun thing. And notice how that feels in the body. And then let's pour to the other side. And again, we're noticing sensations. One side easier than the other. What's that like? Breathe. And come back to your center. So we can pretend we're either like a bear, right? We can be like a bear rooting from one side to the other, or if you like the image of the tree sending the big roots down, like those big Ents in Lord of the Rings. Big tree people. Just feeling. And come back to your center. And notice how you feel. Shake out your legs. If you're feeling tired, feel free to sit. And then let's gently, as we're standing in our horse stance, I want you to feel again, there's a little movement here. It's called riding the horse. So when I'm standing, I'm just going to gently sink down a little bit, straight into my feet. That's how I wanted my heels, and come up. So it's a tiny little sinking, like a little bobber. If my pelvis was a bobber and the fish nibbled, it's going straight down, very little bit. It's like maybe a 2-ounce perch or something that's on that line. Just feel that if it's not comfortable, posture showing, the seated version where you're going to start vertical and just gently hinge forward at your hips. Feeling that motion. Again, I want you to notice where you feel in your body. And come back. Okay? So now as we're standing, we're going to do it. We're going to start our feather or our crane arms flying. So it's like we have paintbrushes using very little effort only to shoulder height or lower. And if your shoulders are sore, do it down here, possibly the end. You can just do it low, okay? So listen to your body. If your body says this feels comfortable, stay here. Or if it's comfortable, no higher than shoulder height though. Feeling this flow. We're moving energy up, out into the meridians in the arm. Feel this expansion from your center all the way out, edge to the fingers. Breathe. Then let's rest. And let's put those two together, a little coordination. So this is some of the dynamic integration I talked about. Sink your body down or hinge forward. And actually, no, you stay upright. Stay upright if you're seated. And then as you hinge forward, the arms are going to come up. As we rise, the arms are going to come up. So we're gently going to fly away, crane taking flight. Feel this effortless motion, as little effort as possible. I like to say is less is more. No pain, more gain. Enjoy this free-flowing crane flying. And imagine you're the crane flying over the river, the lake. Feel the freedom. Feel anything tensing up in your body? Do a little less. Take your legs out. And I'm going to invite everybody to come and sit down again. Come and sit in your chairs. And we're going to notice, I'm just going to bring this, I'm going to go down on the floor. It's going to work better for me. Just want to read a little bit of a story to everybody. Okay, this is a little story about the history of Tai Chi. And I don't know where my copy went. There we go. This is a little bit of the history of Tai Chi. And this is taken from a book by Stuart Albee Olson called Tai Chi for Kids. And it's a story about a monk, Yang Sung Thing, a Taoist monk, whose name was Yang Sung Thing, who was, it's one of the myths about how Tai Chi started. And so a really long time ago, there was a Chinese monk who loved nature. And he lived in some mountains that had 3 peaks. And every day he would take these nature walks, study his books, and sit very quietly listening to his breath and the sounds of nature. So I want you to picture yourselves. You're out in the mountains listening to the sounds of nature. And then one day, when he was sitting in his hut, he heard a loud noise outside. It was a bird squawking and a snake hissing. He got up and looked out and saw the bird was trying to catch the snake, and the snake was trying to get away. He was curious to see how the snake was going to get away from the bird, and so he watched them from just outside his hut. The bird would swoop down at the snake, but every time the snake would just wriggle back out of the way. And so you'd have this swoop down, I can't do this very well, but wriggling away. And he watched for quite a while. When the bird tried to peck at the snake's tail, the snake would chase the bird away by striking its head. And we tried to strike when the bird tried to hit the snake's head, the tail of the snake would push the bird away. And when the bird would peck at the middle of the snake, Both the snake's head and tail would swish around at the bird. This went on for a very long time, and eventually the bird got tired and flew away. And the snake slept in the sun. He was very impressed. The monk was very impressed with what he saw. And he thought how wonderful it could be if only he could be as relaxed and wiggly as the snake, and then nothing could hurt him. And then after thinking about these movements of these two animals for a while, then he thought of movements of other animals, and he actually came up with some different exercises. And this movement of the yielding and redirecting of force, the myth is that he started Tai Chi, which is this balancing of complementary opposites, the yin and yang. And then what he found out, part of the story is when he did these exercises, he became healthier. So this is a little bit of the story about Tai Chi. He lived a long time, and it's how these movements were developed by watching the animals in nature, so that we could have this practice. So I'm going to invite us again, as you consider stand, and we're going to be doing a few animal movements. So definitely, if you've got your kids there with you, this will be a fun thing to do. And if you're wondering, so sometimes, when we have different emotions, or when we're stressed, when we're experiencing different things, then we don't know sometimes what to do. We get all thinking in our head, and what do we do? Well, some of the things we can do is what we did at the very beginning, the centering and the pouring and bringing our mind, connecting more to our body and out of our head. But sometimes we really just need to let the emotion out. And so this is the year of the tiger. So we're going to be like a tiger. And again, as you're letting this emotion out, do it how it's comfortable for you. So don't use too much force. And if there's kids in the house, you're not hitting anybody. This is your own, okay? You're not going to hit anybody. This is more of releasing blocked up energy. So you're going to, again, find your feet on the floor. Make sure your knees are unlocked, your hips are relaxed. People seated, your seats in the chair, loosen your jaw, okay? Loosen your jaw. And then we're going to make soft fists, okay? We're going to make some soft fists, and maybe it can be a little bit tighter, and maybe even create a little bit of tension here, but not a lot. And feel, and then what you're going to do is, and you're going to look like you're looking at someone really intensely. So your gaze is intense, so you're really focused. And then you're going to punch out with one hand. And again, whatever's comfortable for you, you're going to punch. I really want you to exhale, go. Okay, so make a sound, shh. Really letting go, shh. Okay, shh. Okay, shh. And punch and feel the release. But when you come back, feel the body relax. So don't stay tense. Shh. So it's a release, come in and stare. Shh. So this is the tiger getting ready to pounce, but he relaxes in between. So feel the body soften. Okay, release that. And you could do this as long as you would need to. And then come back. And then the tiger still relaxes. So let everything relax back down and notice how that feels. Okay, so you've just relaxed the tiger. And then to help clear out a little bit more, I got to get out of the way of my chair. Turn your palms out. Picture yourself at, again, your favorite place in nature, and you're going to gather in all those sight, sound, smells, and just wash them down through your body. Breathing down and through. And again, circling up and coming back down. And again, breathing in and out. And one more time. There we go, coming back down. Noticing how you feel, shift the weight on your feet. And anytime you need to sit down. So now what we're going to do is we're going to play a little bit with our wrists and fingers. so that we're going to play with a little energy ball, but I want us to find and connect our hands in first. So take your hands out in front of you and make a soft fist like you're holding cotton balls. Again, we're not pinching now, but just soft fist, and start to circle the wrists. And maybe you're imagining you're using your hands to scrape the edge of the cookie dough bowl or the ice cream bowl. But feel the sensations in your wrist. Notice how they feel. And then going back the other way. And then we're going to gently open the hands. So the yang is the more open and active, and the yin is relaxed. So very gentle pulsing, just until you feel a light stretch. So your claws have been curled up, and you're just gently getting ready. Maybe you're like a cat kneading something. But feel the sensations in those claws and paws out into the thumb. You wake up your awareness into the index finger, noticing what you feel and adding your middle finger. You're still breathing. Add in the ring finger. Might take a while, that's okay. And adding in the pinky. And notice which part is still out at recess. Or I was talking about Humpty Dumpty. Which part didn't come back online? Feel into the palms. Letting the hands wake up. Maybe they're still now. Where do you feel? Like the hands face each other, like you're holding a little ball. And tune into the rhythm of your own breath. So this is your own movement. You don't have to move in rhythm to me. You're listening to your body. Feel the space between your hands. And then as you breathe in, the hands get a little farther apart. As you breathe out, they come closer together. We're tuning into the sensations in the body, around the body, feeling. As we play with our hands, we focus a little bit of hand Tai Chi, sensing both hands feel the same. Be very curious, no judgment if there's a part you can't feel. Stay to what's comfortable. Feel your feet. And then gently take your hands like parachutes and let them float back down. Just let that shake out a little bit. Notice how you feel. How's my face? Okay. No, it's here. So now we've played a little bit here in front of us. We're going to play a little bit more. We're going to play in the clouds a little bit. So we're going to wave our hands in clouds, or if you were lucky enough to be in Boston, you could be waving them in nice big snowflakes yesterday. So finding your body, seated or standing, and we're going to get a little bit of a base about finding our center. So in Tai Chi, we move our torso, so our pelvis over our stable base. And so this part of the body from the waist down to the upper thigh, this is our qua, the main energy centers here. And so what I want you to feel first is we started out with the bare rooting, people who are standing. And if you're seated again, you're going to a little more weight in one sit down. Find your belly button. Keep your nose and just turn slightly. Turn a little bit, just a tiny bit toward the weight-bearing leg. Notice how that feels. And then relax the empty leg so you can pour over there, feel everything stable, and then turn your belly button to the other side, just a little bit. Remember, less is more. So we're pouring into the whole foot and leg, and we turn our belly button. And we pour, and we turn our belly button. This is like the precursor to waving hands. So just slowly pouring, turning a little bit. When you're seated, turn even less, okay? Because your sit bones are anchored to the chair. Okay. So now to start to wave our hands and paws, we're going to become like Picasso, okay? Bring your hand up, bring one hand up and pretend that it's a paintbrush, but it's a very soft, light paintbrush, just like that. It's a feather brush, right? You're painting with a feather. And put that wall right in front of you. And so when the wrist is the whole hand, so as you start to shift, that palm is just going to come across here. And then you turn a little bit, and then the palm is going to come back. Very light, very little effort. Check to see if you started holding your breath, because this is a new skill. So when we focus, we forget to breathe. Just imagine you're enjoying whatever it is, whether you're liking finger painting or you're feather painting, very little effort, but your body is moving the arm, because really this hand is an extension of the arm that goes through the heart all the way down to the belly. So it's like the big end of an appendage, say of an octopus or something. So just let it form, feel that. Okay, now we've got a nice solid line here on our paper, so we're going to start an oval. So as you shift your weight, float the arm up in front of your heart. You're going to start to paint an oval. And so we're just going to slowly paint an oval. So the back of your wrist paints now on the top, the front of the palm on the bottom. If you don't want to be painting, you could be playing in the clouds, right? So it's coming through very slowly, pouring and breathing. Okay. Now the other paintbrush over there is saying, hey, wait, what about me? What about me? So just pause on the one side of that same arm and pick it up, make it nice and light. And let's start painting. We put up maybe one new piece of paper. Before we start painting, your new clouds are always coming. Let's do about 3 on the bottom before we start to do the oval. And just enjoy this motion. Lighting the clouds. Notice how this feels. Now the next time we get to this other side, we're going to bring the hand up and start to trace our oval. Breathing. Just playing, very playful. They don't even have to be in any lines. Nope, no lines. Kind of fun, being very creative. Now, if you're feeling really brave, you don't even have to feel brave. If you feel like having a little more fun, we're going to add the coordination. You can keep doing one arm, or we're going to pause over here, and we're going to add the bottom hand. So I'm going to pause. So one hand is below, one hand's at the belly height, the other hand's at the other side. And so we're going to paint on the bottom, and then the hands are going to switch. Top goes down. This is really good. So Tai Chi improves cognitive function, right? A lot of mind-body connection here. We're connecting new parts, creating new motor muscle memory. Just enjoy. And if you get goofed up, just pause and start again. You can start with one hand facing the body on the top. Just flowing. Forgot to breathe. Bring that breath back in. It's a little bit important for living. It's a good source of energy. Just waving your hands and having fun. Doesn't have to look like mine. Looks at like whatever you're creating. And now, as you come through and finish, gently bring the hands up and then float them down like parachutes. Take your legs out, maybe shake the arms out a little bit. And all of that little pattern. Notice how you feel. Just checking to see where we're at. Oh, okay. So we've been playing in the clouds, we've been on a tiger, and now we're going to shoot a bow and arrow. So some of these are from this movement is actually from the 8, rain just went dead, I can look at the channels. So it's the 8 postures. But anyway, so what we're going to do is, again, you're going to stand and you're going to hold a moon. So you're about this far apart. Your elbows are heavy, the hands are light. Okay, heavy elbows, light hands. We're going to start out holding this moon. Okay, you're not way out here. You're not collapsed in. You're in the just right Goldilocks. So now you're going to take one hand and like you're holding the string. And in the Chinese bow, you hold the string and then we're going to look off to the side and push the bow out. So now we've got our bow cocked. Now some of you might say, well, I want to make this really hard. I like to keep everything pretty relaxed. And then I'm going to come in, put that wrist behind, hold the string, and go the other way. Turn your head so you're looking at it. And then come back in. And then go out the other side. So you can breathe out as you're exerting yourself. Breathe in as you come back to your center. So breathe out. And breathing in. Breathing out. Coming back to the center. Breathe out. And breathing in. And one more time. Breathe out. And breathing in. Breathe out. And breathing in. Let everything come down, and then 3 times again. Don't want to hit fascia, but standing at your favorite place in nature. This is washing the body with chi from nature. And take this intention all the way down to your feet into the ground. Really helps root us into the ground. So breathing in, you're gathering in the sunlight, all those favorite sight, sound, smells. Letting it wash through your body, nourishing every single cell. And then if you use a little more imagination, you can pretend it's like a little filter, like a sieve, and it's releasing all this tightness, stickiness, anything that's stagnant or stuck anywhere. Maybe it's loosening it up a little bit and straining it out and letting it be released into the ground. And then just like a tree drinking up from its roots, you can breathe in and then breathe out. It's like a little bit of a rinse cycle. Let's do that 3 more times. Breathing in and out. And one more time, breathing in and out. Take things out a little bit. Notice how you feel. Notice how you feel. And stand, check and see if you need a little break. Okay. Yeah, so people, if you're tired, I'm going to invite you to sit down. We're going to do a little bit of tapping. Okay, we're going to tap the meridians. And so how we do this is we're going to start out at the belly. And we're just going to gently tap on the belly and feel the sensations. Okay, notice how you feel. And then come around to the outside of the hips. Now, if you have tight shoulders or sore shoulders, when we go to our back, you can just tap your back to your belly like this, okay? But otherwise, fascia is going behind the back on either side of the kidneys, okay? And even down on the sacrum, down here. Just gently, what feels comfortable, and then come back down to the outside of the hips. Now, if you have poor balance and bending over bothers you, I do it seated like fascia. You come down to the outside of the knees, feel the sensation down to the feet, and then back up to the inside. So we're tapping the meridians, covering them all. Make sure you're still breathing. Coming back up. And one more time. Okay. Again, tapping on the belly, go back around to your back again, and maybe tap where you can reach on the back on either side of the spine. And then take your arms out, come up behind your, over on the big C7 vertebrae here, the big bump. I'm going to stay forward. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me if I'm turned around. Okay. And then come up to the base of the neck and massage at the base of the skull and maybe start tapping again. If tapping is uncomfortable for you, then you can just massage, okay? And some days you might feel more like massaging. Listen to what feels good to you. This is where all the yang meridians, they come up to meet at the crown of the head. Sometimes during the middle of the day, if you're tired and you want to bring a little more alertness in, you tap at the crown point, the top of the head here. But let's come down Let's tap on the inside of your eyebrows. Again, this is a little bit of detoxifying. Come down under the bottom of your eye, right in the middle of the socket, right? Okay, and then come down on the chin. And then come down on the chest. So just gently, your thymus gland is here, a lot of your immune system. So we're going to start right on the center of the chest. Palm up. Make sure you're breathing, coming down and back up. And again. 3 times and follow the sensation. Feel it. Okay, listen and feel. And then back to the other side. All the way down. Breathe. Come back down the center of your chest, down your zipper line, back to the belly. All the way down. And then rest your hands on your lower belly. And you can say there's no place like home. Those the other 3 times. There's no place like home. Okay. So those are some very simple moves that we did with Tai Chi starting out. I'm going to actually, I forgot the offering. Peggy's probably like, where did Lori do the offering? I'm going to, I'm going to do the offering. Peggy's going to put a link in the chat. And the Abbey Mental Health Center is our January community partner. And the Abbey Center for Community Mental Health coordinates licensed professionals who work as a team to provide diagnostic and treatment services. Team members include psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, nurses, mental health counselors, marriage and families therapists, and peer support specialists. So Peggy has put that link in the chat for you if you want to contribute. And you also know that you can send a check to the UU Society or contribute online. So one of the things that I wanted to share with people, I'm going to go to gallery view, but one of the things, and I would even invite people to go ahead and turn on their cameras if they would like to at this time, if they want to. And some of the health benefits I started talking about with Tai Chi is, how are you, I want to mention a couple more and then people can ask me questions. I think I might even let Peggy let people unmute if they want. But, and I do have some closing words. I'm like, actually, let me just do my closing words first and then we'll talk a little bit more. Okay, let me do the closing words. So you guys can sit quietly. These are some words from the Tai Chi Classics. So be still as a mountain, move like a great river, relaxed, fluid motion, inner stillness. Water flows around all obstacles. It resists nothing, yet exerts tremendous power. When we detach from the need to control our outcomes according to fixed plans, we become more fluid, receptive, and clear. And we have unlimited options to respond to a situation. So let things flow naturally forward. Okay. All right, so as I was saying before, I'm getting some thank you, you're welcome. Thanks for the smile, Susan. I don't know if I can read all the chats at the same time. I'm not that skillful, but otherwise I won't be able to see everybody. I might look at it later. But one of the things to play with, I introduced you to several simple movements, like just at the beginning, the idea of centering, of feeling your body, noticing your breath, feeling your feet on the ground. That can bring you out of your head and connect mind, body together. So anytime you might be feeling stressed, or if you're really thinking a lot, right? We're thinking the anxiety, the thoughts. It's a really good way to just come right into the body, feel yourself, feel your feet on the ground, notice your posture, notice how you're breathing. So bring that awareness in. And I showed you a couple. I showed you one move, like the tiger. Like if you really need to release anger, you can go into a different animal. And the tiger is one of them that we use. Another thing that we really played with today was where is our body in space? What's our alignment like? How much effort are we using as we do something? So first thing is notice posture. Are you keeping are your knees unlocked or not? I sometimes spend like a whole week, a very long time undoing that habit when I started Tai Chi, right? I stood with my knees locked all the time, or stand with my hips out carrying my baby, right? Correct my posture. So it becomes part of your day. Another thing is we always want to start at that stable base so that before you're reaching, before you're going to do something, find where your center is. But then once you have that center, how are you going to lift up something? How are you picking up your cup? How are you holding the steering wheel? Are you clenched and tense, or are the muscles soft? So really start to pay attention to the quality of your movement, because you're bringing that Tai Chi principle into your daily life.